Hi friends, welcome back to Arc Tutorials. This is JSON Top 25 Interview Question Answers with Code Snippets. If you are working in any modern application or even for that matter a legacy one, you will need to have knowledge of JSON in order to crack the interview or even to work on projects. JSON is a contract that two applications, two technologies talk together. It's the communication mode, the contract that the backend or the API or two different technologies or systems can integrate. With that being said, let's get started with the top 25 interview question answer series. Before I kickstart, please make sure to get your entire 30 PDFs of all these technologies that I'm covering here on my channel. All these technologies and all these stacks are covered with over 2000 interview question and answer series with code snippets. You can get it at arctutorials.gumroad.com. It covers over 25 plus technologies and each PDF has separate PDF for each technology. Alright, that being said, let's get started. First, what is JSON and why is it commonly used in web development? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, which is a lightweight data interchange format that is easy for humans to read and write, easy for machines to parse, understand, and generate. It is used to represent structured data as a text-based format. The extension usually would be .json if you're saving it as a file. Why is JSON popular in web development? It's lightweight, which means JSON is compact, consumes less bandwidth. Language independent. Though derived from JavaScript, JSON is a language independent, which means you can write the output of JSON in almost any language. It's human readable. The format is easy to read and debug. Integration with APIs. JSON is often used for data exchange between client and server in REST APIs, or if you're working on an integration projects, it can be used to integrate between two separate tools or frameworks. What are the different data types that are supported in JSON? JSON supports the following data types. It can have a string, it can have a number, it can have an object, it can have an array, it can have a boolean value, it can have null value. You can see here the key name is name, which is string. For the key age, the value is a number. Is active is a boolean one. Children is null, address is an object, friends is an array. So you can have all different types of data types. How do you parse and stringify JSON in JavaScript? In JavaScript, the JSON object provides two methods. The first one is called json.parse. The second is called json.stringify. json.parse converts a JSON string into JavaScript object. So if you see here, we have a object, right, which is a JSON basically. And when you say json.parse, if it's an object, it would print using dot annotation. You can also check if this is true or not, if that object was converted successfully into JSON into an object or not. JSON.stringify on the other hand converts an object into a string. So if you have an object, let's say person, and when you say JSON.stringify, the output will be a string. That's what these two are main important methods that are often used in JavaScript. What is the difference between JSON and XML? They both are data formats used for interactions and data exchange, but here are some of the key differences. Number one, readability. JSON is more compact, easier for humans to read and then XML. XML is more strict, it's more verbose, it has open and close tags just like HTML, but it's more strict. Data structure. JSON represents data as key value pairs, which means it's easier to work with in JavaScript and other languages. XML uses tags to define elements and attributes. Performance wise, JSON is more lightweight and faster to parse compared to XML. XML can require more processing time due to its verbosity. Support for complex data types. JSON supports arrays, objects natively. XML represents hierarchical data, but that does not natively support arrays or objects. The next question is, how do you handle nested JSON objects in JavaScript? You can have nested objects in JavaScript. You can just access using the dot annotation for the childs. Like take an example here, you have the person key. Inside that we have a child or nested JSON, which is an object address. And to access it, we'll use the dot annotation. If you are using modern TypeScript, you can also add question mark to check whether that entity is available or not. Can JSON support functions or methods? Often commonly asked question to confuse the candidates. No, JSON does not support functions or methods. JSON is a data format for representing data structures, and it only supports primitive data types like strings, numbers, boolean, array, objects, null. Functions or methods cannot be directly stored in JSON. Remember that if that question comes, the answer is no. How do you handle JSON with arrays in JavaScript? Now, if anything, like I mentioned earlier, JSON can have arrays. That's also a data type, and it's represented using the square brackets. So in this case, you have a JSON object with the key friends, which is having a array values, which is Alice, Bob, Charlie. It can be any data type, and for arrays it doesn't matter what values you pass inside it. How do you handle large JSON responses efficiently in JavaScript? So this is a performance related question often asked. Now here you have to answer that handling large JSON responses efficiently in JavaScript involves optimizing memory usage and improving performance. You can use lazy loading technique, which is to load large JSON data into chunks. You can also use streaming approach through readable stream, etc. in modern browsers. You can also employ web workers to do offline and parsing in the background to prevent from the main thread. So these are common approaches for improving the performance when using JSON and large JSON data. What is JSON schema and how is it used? JSON schema is a declarative language used to define the structure, constraints, and validation rules of JSON data. Now, this is especially used when you are defining at the backend and you're saying that I'm defining a JSON object and I want to make sure that the incoming JSON data is this standard. So you define a JSON schema where you're telling that properties would be name, which is of type string, age type integer, required name, age, etc. So this way you are defining the schema and you are telling that the incoming JSON data should validate and match all of these settings. If you especially you'll see this in serverless, you can see it in ORM kind of frameworks like Mongoose, where you set up the schema basically. How would you handle JSON parsing errors in JavaScript? When parsing JSON data in JavaScript, it's important to handle any parsing errors that may occur during the malfunctioned JSON. So the first check you will do is always using JSON.parse method. Now this method will throw you an error if that string is not valid. So you have to check that whether JSON.parse is valid. If yes, then go ahead and do a try catch kind of a block to wrap it around so that you can catch any errors that are happening. Alright, that's all for today, but we'll continue with part 2. But don't forget to get your copy at artutorials.gumroad.com. You will get 30 plus technologies and over 2000 plus question answer series with code snippets in detail. All of these PDFs are available there. So make sure you grab it. I'll see you in the next episode. We'll continue with part 2 learning. Till then, spread knowledge, spread love. Thank you so much for supporting me and my channel. Thank you again.